Hi everyone, Flo here, welcome to the channel. This snorkel video is about family, food and life. These are my parents back in their heyday. I think this was taken at the Auckland Zoo. My mum, she had long beautiful hair right down to her backside. It was very thin. So beginning 2014, this was a year after I felt quite unwell with my mental health. And I needed to get up quickly, so I started venturing out into the ocean and I went off with my uncle and a cousin. And we just jumped in this side of the reef and began snorkeling. And probably not the greatest idea because the currents were pretty strong, and I didn't really see my cousin after that. But yeah, I just took to it like a fish, and that was some of our collection that afternoon with Uncle. Uncle doesn't dive, snorkel, or swim, so he looks for shallow parts where he can stand. And there's my uncle and cousin walking out a bit where he can just collect them, pick them up with his bare hand. Uncle never used gloves. That was Uncle. He'd stand in there with his Nike basketball boots and just feel around. Yeah, it's my uncle. He's really cool. He's a bit older now. It's my mum's brother, but he's still strong as an ox, still working, looking after his family. My father had woven the top opening of my sack the night before this outing, and I'd learnt from Dad. Dad was quite a savvy weaver. My cousin, she'd cracked open the kina, and the kina were really nice down there. There's current down there, so lots of food and nutrients to be carried through in the water for the kina. And that's Mum. So, Mum got lots of kina over the years before she passed, and she was really happy. She'd share it out too. She was a churchy, so she'd say, I can take that to that person, drop that off to that person. And again, 2014, I went out with Uncle and my nephew Lulu. He was a teenager back then, and that's Uncle there. He's waiting for the tide to go out a bit more so we could walk down. It was a walk in stones. Wasn't very nice. That's Lulu. On the left, a teenager. He found the kingfish frame, wanted to keep it as an adult, sparing the kingfish. We told him if you wanted it, you had to carry it yourself. And we hadn't even collected any kina yet. So Lulu was so happy with his find and he carried it back to shore. His uncle checking the kina. I never checked the kina. I just pick it up, put it in my sack. Yeah, and our little collection. Poor uncle. Sure, my first go, it was a kina for Mum. My first go, I never found kina or picked one. And then 2015, Uncle and I went out crabbing. And I was like, oh, it's pitch black, Uncle. And he was like, yep, it is. And we got red rock crabs. It was quite a hard case because we had to walk everywhere. It was like in the dark. You had a couple of torches, the big dolphin torches. And while Uncle and I were out there, there were a couple of other people around the other side of the reef. Now, I'd never been to this reef during the day, so I had absolutely no idea of the terrain. And we had a couple of those big rice sacks. And Uncle said, "Come, we go down here. We'll go down here." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was just following him down, and then he ended up on reef, and I go, "What do I do?" And he goes, "Shine the torch." And then I quickly, I quickly watched Uncle, and Uncle would just go across the reef and grab the kina with his hand, and then the kina, sorry, grab the crab with his hand and chuck it in the rice sack. And I was like, oh, okay. So I learnt that. Look for the crab in the shadowy part of your torch. Don't shine it on because then that'll make the crab run back to the water. And so just shine it a bit to the left or to the right, and then you got to you just gotta move quickly. And I had, I think, the garden glove at the time, and I just gotta go quickly, pick it up, chuck it in the sack, look for the next one, pick it up, chuck it in the sack, keep chucking it in. And I was like, oh, is this how people go crabbing like this? And, in the middle of the night where it's pitch black. And I thought, well, we weren't the only insane people at that time because there was a couple of people around the bay. But yeah, I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was like the excitement of the uncertainty, not knowing, never being there during the day, but having to have your wits about you, but also, you didn't want to fail because you had to get the food and you had to get the crab, and family were depending on you, and uncle, because my uncle's hardworking man, and when uncle said move, you move, man, because he was just like dad. They say move, you move. So even if you failed, you had to quickly get a come to terms with whatever they were telling you to do. So yeah, really fun, and I filled up my rice sack, and I was really happy. I don't even eat crab, but took it home and we shared it with the family, and people really love these crabs. I think they wrap it up in wet newspaper, put it in a bucket, and leave it for a couple of days to sweeten it. But yeah, that was an excellent outing. Thanks, Uncle. Love you. So come 2018, I was a pro at the snorkeling and collecting kina and just going out there. I used to go on a lot of walks and outings and adventures out to the Waitakere Ranges, so this wasn't much different in parts for me. Going out to this area for kina, it was like rocks are slippery, and I fell over once, and Mum had seen me from shore, but it's about like I think maybe 20 to half an hour walk out there. That's kind of off-putting for a lot of people, especially if you got your gear to come back with and a kina. But yeah, I like challenges, and I go and I approach them and I see how much I can do and how I can work it out. It's like problem solving. It's quite enjoyable. And on this occasion, I popped out, and I think this is the one where I slipped over because I was coming back, and I had a couple of sacks, and Mum said, "I saw you slip over," and I slipped over and I got up quickly. I have a walking stick because I have vertigo, and a stick helps me navigate terrain that's quite rocky, uneven, potholes, the holes, and just going over the rocks themselves. It just gives me a bit more balance, and that's me with happy ears because I got my kina and it's making my way back to Mum. It excites me. I just absolutely love to collect kina. It's one of my most favourite activities, if not the number one thing that I love to do. I like kina, to eat kina, it's alright, but I think I probably love collecting it more than eating it. So it's just the excitement, I guess. But at this point, the tide was coming in, and so it was time for me to go. And then I love the ocean because you get to see these mushrooms and pockets of rain coming your way, and they're unpredictable because you don't really know where they're going, if they're going to hit you or not, and you can be sitting in the middle of a gap of showering rain. Look at the water, it's so calm. I love water like this during the rain. Underneath the water during rain is so pretty, it's like stars. So yeah, I donned my raincoat and cap. I love the colours, the contrast, the sand, the teal, the greys. I think they're really spectacular. I never get sick of these scenes. I really enjoy them. So I got home with Mum on the kina, and the next part is like the hulling and prepping of the kina to just get the stuff out. So this is how I like to do it. Just the spoons. Nice kina in that for small size. Quite fatty in that area. Nice and full. People always want big things or things like that, but the kina might be small, but they're fat and sweet. We look for that yellow roe. I still open my kina this way. I just line them all up in a big baking pan, and I just crack, 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 crack now, just automatically crack them all open, and it's really fast and fun. I probably put my safety glasses on because I go hard and fast. Then we've got our quality control officer tasting the kina. Here she goes. So this was 2018, and this was the last year I had my dad alive. The following year, he soon, maybe a few months after this outing, he passed. So this was the last Christmas for kina for him. That was my favourite snorkel tool in the whole wide world, and it was just a broken kitchen tool and my garden gloves and my sacks. I love that. And a bit of bungee rope around my wrist. I loved the angle. It was just, yeah, it was good. And I've just got my dad. My dad was a sportsman. Grew up in the islands, quite sporty, and came here. And in his aging years, he was an excellent dart player. I've still got his dartboards. I play a little bit. But yeah, that was the last year we had with Dad. And then the following year, I think a lot of things changed for me. I think I stopped going out to the Waitex, and life took a new direction and parts and sorting it out. Yeah. And that's my dad. I was in the islands with the onga. He used to hunt his food a lot back in the islands. Lots of stories from him. For onga to trap, he used to walk hours to set the trap, walk home hours, and then come back and do it again. He said it was a very hard life. Dad ate almost everything and nothing went to waste. But I'll have a lot more about Dad later. One of his last trips to the islands. 2019 came round, and this is Dad had passed, and Mum and I would gone out for a snorkel. You know, when loved one passes, try to keep everything as normal as possible. But this turned out to be quite a hard year for me, and beginning of a couple of hard years, and I decided to expel my grief in a couple of unhealthy ways. I got into an unhealthy relationship because that was easier to deal with than grief, and he was not a good person at all, but I just tolerated it. And then the way Dad passed and how family behaved around his passing was absolutely, horrific and horrible, and no one should ever have to go through that. But I would find peace, temporary peace and calmness in the water. In this snorkel video, I'm actually swimming down across the reef. It was quite turbulent, and I couldn't see, and I'd have one hand outstretched so I didn't hit my head on any protruding parts of the reef. And then here I just break through the currents, and I'm on shallow and better visibility. It was quite a thrill and exciting and quite cool. I found this big massive kina that was bigger than my hand down here because I like to be nosy around the reef. Little rocky outcrops. It's really enjoyable. And then we've got Mum here. And this is when I came out, got out of the reef and then walked all the way back to the other side of the reef to jump back into the base. Mum and our walking stick. As much as she could, she would always come out with me. She enjoyed the outings, and I think it just made her feel better to see where I would collect the kina from and how, and it wasn't as bad as her imagination would have, especially in her mind sitting at home waiting for me to come home, as loved ones usually do when you go out to the ocean especially. And then with our kina back at home, same rigmarole, just learn how to hull it. But yeah, it was really hard for me with Dad's death. was very traumatic. Um, I was like one of the last to do chest compressions, cracked his chest and then cracked it again. About half an hour of first responders couldn't resuscitate him and he was gone. And then I had family members behaving badly. They were trying to take Dad's stuff the night prior of his funeral while I was on zero sleep and writing his eulogy. And I just screamed the house down. And by the time I came out, there was no one there but Mum and a couple of my nieces who were looking after me. And then, yeah, that year, as everything began, I learnt a lot in a very unhealthy relationship about myself and then about everyone around me. Eventually got rid of him. And then because also had it in layers to look after Mum and look after home. And Mum wasn't doing really well. I could see she just wasn't herself. And then eventually she had early onset dementia, which, something else that was quite hard. But my dad was my rock. He had always been my rock, and by the time he had passed, I'd learnt to become my own, and I became his in his more frail and, his weaker years up until he passed. But yeah, that was hard. I think it's hard to lose a loved one, but I took it pretty hard. And I couldn't grieve because there was conflict within our family, so parts of my grief had been detained, but always found a temporary release and outlet with the ocean, stronger than me. My love of the ocean, for cooking and looking after family, and especially of animals from my father. This was him giving me my cat Bingo when I was a kid. He absolutely loved animals. He would have loved my two dogs now. We had a first colour one. Kai looks exactly like her. But she lived for a good 15 years. But yeah, my dad loved the ocean. He was a real island boy who absolutely loved seafood. So yeah, pretty rough year. Parts of it was trying to be present and trying to be there for Mum and sorting that out, then trying to sort Mum out herself, and that wasn't any normal feat, and then sorting out my own grief and conflict with family. And when people die, I think a lot of people just become selfish, and it just it's the reason why I don't like people. His dad and colour number one. She was an excellent dog. Sandy kind of looks like her. And then I'm back to opening the kina with spoons back to back. They've got to be oval, not the round ones. It's easier to do it like this. Wear safety glasses if you're doing it hard and fast, because the spines of the kina will come out with the force of how you're opening it like that, and then hit you in the face or the eye, which is really not ideal. I once had a kina spike in my knee for a few weeks until I think my body pushed it out, and I was like, why is that bump still there? Then found a little kina. Yeah, hard year. It was not the easiest and not easy years to come, I think, after that. This snorkel outing, 2019, was a sunrise snorkel. It's one of my most memorable snorkels. I got out there before the sun came up, and it's amazing. And you can see up there my favourite bird, the pied shag. Yeah, I stood there for a while, and the sun was coming up quite rapidly. Still love the way the sun hits the cliffs and the ridges. You can see all the layers. Just lights up everything. Why do you like kina?
Because it's my favourite.
How much your favourite?
Very.
How many times have you had kina this Christmas?
I miscounted.
Have you had enough of kina?
Not really.
You want some more?
Yes, but you not go back to get it.
Why?
Let's finish this year till next year.
Till next year?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't like you to go by yourself to the water.
I don't. There's kina in there.
Said, the shark come and bite the bum.
But his bum is big enough. Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And again, going out again, and I went out a lot by myself. I would try to go out and get as much kina as I could, given my quota at the time to, just try and make mum happy. And I think the first time I came through the door, I realised, usually Dad would greet me and I'd open up our chili bin and show him, and he'd just smile, and I think, yeah, my dad's proud of me, that's real cool. So the first couple of times coming home after collecting kina, that was quite sore and that was quite hard, but I went to get it for mum, was her favourite food, so went out a few times. And then I had family who would try to come out with me, and as they do during episodes of grief. But I'm kind of quite fat in that area, quite creamy. Yeah, quite sweet when you get them like this. You just have to know the kina, and you can even tell by the kina spikes. Usually the area and location, but you can tell because some of the kina are dead and all the spikes aren't straight. They're kind of like shunted down, so you know that kina's dead. You can tell by if it's got lighter brown spikes. I think the better the food, the better the colouring of the kina. Yeah, these ones are nice and fat. Yeah, just going out for mum, trying to support her much kina as possible. Then one time, I'm coming up to the next snorkel outing, she wanted cat's eyes snail. Had a little belt bag, and I went around and collected the big ones that I could get. I don't like snails. I don't like mussels. I've always tried to eat mussels and snails, but could never stomach it. Here's mum coming out with me. Here I am. Looking for the snails and putting them in my belt bag and then getting kina. Cat's eyes. Quite finicky to do, eh? I think I didn't get them again. Mum didn't ask, I think she had had enough. Because I'd gotten a few. Yeah. Well, it's cat eye because it looks like a cat eye. I think these are mollusks. Quite cool pattern though. Pull them out of the open safety pin much easier. It's a challenge. Good challenge. You try to pull the snail out in its entirety. These are often overlooked because they're quite common and small. Every time I'd finish snorkel, I'd just shake off excess water, jump in the car and gun it home. Never hung out. Sometimes, but not all the time. Oh, this is quite a interesting outing. I think towards the end of the year for Christmas, my cousin B decided to come out with me with my nephews. An older nephew and a younger nephew was D and Nana. And it was quite a memorable outing. It was a hard case. Because B knew that my dad and I were quite close, so she's my bestest cousin dearest, and wanted to come out to show some support because she's my spotter. Her bee doesn't collect kina or snorkel, but she's pretty tight on quality control. Too small, get the big ones. It's like a never-ending story from her. But on this occasion out, my nephews were supposed to come out and help. Those two are they are oka. Oka means like, muck around too much, lazy, just hang around. And all they did the entire time, because the current's a bit strong in the side where we went to, and when the tide comes in, it pretty much turns into a surf beach. So waves and swell are quite strong and quite big. So you have to get out before high tide hits. And I think we were a bit late, but it's always good to get in there and then get out for safety reasons. And those two, the entire time, sat in part of one of the shallow bays and just yabbered and talked. And I was at the end of one of the reefs, just going against the currents passing through, and you know. Picking the kina, and then my cousin would swap out my sack, and she just cracked me up because from beneath the water, I could see her with her hands on her waist. She was tensed, and you could see, when you see someone when you come out from under the water, and she was fuming. She was bright red. Her cheeks were red. She was puffing. She just say, those two, I've told them lots of times to get in there and get some kina, and they won't listen, and they're just sitting there. I just would just laugh at her. It was really heartfelt, and I know when because she's quite a calm person, but, when she gets angry, just be careful. But yeah, I remember that. I felt sorry for her. She was so angry at them. She was fuming. And I was like, oh, it's just grief. I know you're trying to help, but those two are those two, and they are as they are. So yeah, I just got stuck into it, and I got my sacks, or our sacks, and yeah, that was that outing. But that was the end of the year that Dad had passed, and Christmas, and wanting to get some kina for Mum and our Christmas. But no, B was still fuming. It was the first and last those two ever came out with us when we went out to collect kina. I know those two. Hard case. Another outing, snorkel outing with my niece Lani and nephew Nana in 2019. It's about, I think, it's summertime. It's Lani there. It was Lani's first time snorkeling with me. It's quite a hard case. Yeah, we cracked up a bit. I lost a lot of footage. So I had this left, the snorkel between Lani and I. And I was like telling Lani, because Lani's one of my family children, nieces that I used to boss around or help raise when she was young. And I'd like, get that one down. Just pull it out. Telling her underwater. When you grow up with kids younger than yourselves, and stick though, I did lose the footage here, just telling you how to pick it. Yeah, quite a hard case. And that was our collection for the day, and just a selfie. And then I think 2019, yeah, come 2021, I think I didn't really snorkel a bit. I had problems with the relationship I was in, and I was navigating my way through that, and it took a lot of time and energy away, so I don't really get out that much. But I did go out in 2021, and this was about the time I left the guy I was with, and that was Kuala. Kuala. I think we got in Kuala and probably finished that connection maybe a couple of months, within 6 months of the sporadic back and forth.
Not for eating.
And yeah, by that time we'd got in
You
Kai
can't
Kai
eat it.
very late in the year.
Oh. I, with a
Kuala.
brush your hair. See? Good.
Did
Look
take
at
off a bit of fur
that.
off
See?
her though.
Used to brush like.
Gotta get her to help out
What's you
sometimes.
doing, Nanny? What you doing? What are you doing? Look and eat like him
Kakai.
like this. Yeah,
Do the
right.
kaka or
They
kala
don't
in
eat
the
much
background
like
with
this.
their
Yeah, right.
dog squeaker.
Yes, we do.
No,
I
you
do.
didn't.
First one, remember you.
They can't see your
Yeah, I would
face and
let
you don't
mum
have to
help
say
out, but
hello.
then I'd
So
stop
hi,
because
everyone.
Hi, everyone.
she
You
was
have to look at the
just
camera.
killing the row.
Look, no, no.
Wasn't taking the whole row out.
Hi,
I'm like,
everyone.
oh, where's your
Look at him, not
glasses?
at me. At the camera.
Why you
Look,
take
look
that
at the
far?
telephone. Look at the telephone. Aw. Look up your
And this
nostrils.
was in 2021.
Hi, everyone. I'm doing the kina.
Yeah, I think
You're
this was
tired. You're
Yeah.
tired, eh?
the last Christmas with her. And yeah, if you I used to get the kina go out like Christmas to get up for mum for our Christmas dinner, our Christmas lunch, and I love certain parts of seafood. As you can see, kina up there. Then on the right there is what we call feke, manuayan, and it's a basically it's like baked octopus tentacles with coconut cream and chopped up white onion, baked properly. It's really nice. And then 3 o'clock, one of my favourites, yellowfin tuna raw. Absolutely love it raw. It's either raw like that or seared quickly. And then in the middle, raw Pacific oysters. Those are probably my number one seafood. And then down at 6 o'clock, we've got raw fish. I love my raw fish. I like snapper as my raw fish. And to prepare my raw fish, it's real basic, but it's got to be like prepped right before you eat it. And I love it, either like this, the fillets, or especially on the bone. I like it on the bone as raw fish. And it's just coat the snapper in coconut cream and chop up some green onions and a bit of salt, and that's it. Yeah, I don't do the cook the lemon, put this and that in. I was like, oh, that just kills the taste for me of the snapper and the fish, because I actually like to taste my meat and I like to taste the different types of fish I'm eating. So I love snapper. Then at 9 o'clock, we've got a Niuean dish called takihi. So it's layers of sliced white taro with layers of sliced pawpaw, one layer taro, one layer pawpaw, and it's baked with coconut cream. Mum puts tapioca and salt in there to thicken it a bit. Oh, it's divine. It's absolutely beautiful. And you just bake it. Yeah, it is pretty much a vegetarian dish, but it usually, when Mum was alive or Dad was alive, would have something like this for Christmas. It's like one of my favourites. A few of my favourite dishes there. And then we're coming up to another outing. So 2022, this is a snorkel outing with my nephew Lulu. So I think this was in December. Yeah, it's probably summertime. Mum had passed by this time, and this outing, I wasn't too good. I think it was my first snorkel out since Mum had passed, and I was unwell. I'd fallen ill, gotten long COVID, and I was pushing myself quite hard at work, and I thought, oh, because come Christmas, you get about a month off. So I was just hanging around for Christmas, and I didn't know that I had long COVID, and yeah, I was pretty gutted. My health just dropped right off. Came to rest at Christmas, and I ended up my body just completely shut down, and that was it for me. I think Mum's passing. And then there's like, yeah, the pressures around her passing. How she passed also was quite traumatic for me, and lots of flashbacks. And she'd only passed like within 3 years after Dad had passed, and I hadn't really gotten my head around Dad's passing, and then Mum passed. So yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderful year and time, but That's me filming, and this is the first time I got Lulu to film, and the last time, because this is how that little fella film. Oh, quite hard case, Lulu. Lulu's not really into the filming thing. He'd just rather get in there, do the mahi, and then get out, which is quite cool. We usually swim in the same area, but probably meters apart. See, this is what you get if I give Lulu the camera. Little fella's catch bag. But yeah, so I don't really enjoy that outing at that time. It was quite hard for me. I think I wasn't really present in the water, and I just came out, sat on the reef, and it was just quite distant. It's been the first time I'd been back to the place that Mum used to come with me. But I knew my nephew was, my family just trying to support and comfort me with our collection for the day. I think family tried to, make me happy, give me all the kina, my chili bins, colour and kai, but I just, wasn't quite feeling it. And I'd, yeah, found myself in an unhealthy relationship again, but quickly ended that one. Lily forgot his fins, and then colour came again. It's Mum after her first full knee operation. And I think this was 6 months after. Hospital invited her back, like they do with many of their patients, to do a walk around their hospital grounds. It's quite an achievement for her. And I've got photo here. I'll do selfies. You look, people can look happy and smile, but it's completely broken. I think mentally, emotionally, and then physically, my body just shut down, and it just came up with more problems, and that was quite hard going for me. After Christmas and New Year's is never easy for me mentally. So 2023, I think I did go out, but not as much. But I think I've done my order wrong again. This is 2024, kina and fish with my nephew Lulu. This is when, Lulu made friends with the fish, and then Lulu killed them. Never feeding fish again with him in close proximity. You can see how that fish did notice me. That's Lily there with one of the first paddle friends I had made. But he did, did Lily hard case. Killed my friends. That was the first one. But he did smoke one for me and bring it round home with some yam. Yeah, hard case. Lily killed my my three friends, my paddle friends. He gave me one, and I was like a bit hard to eat it. I was quite grateful. It's like conflicted about that, but it's food. And then there was our kina and cook's turban and kina in a test shell. Then it was Mum's 1 year anniversary. See, I've jumped. So it's 2023, and I did go out. I think I went out a couple of times, but went out for Mum's 1 year anniversary in 2023 to get some kin and just invited close knit family. Mainly just my auntie and uncle it was for. And I went and got the kina for our lunch for them. Yeah, so I was trying to push work and things at home, and I had major conflict with family, dishonesty and betrayal, and then couldn't really grieve because of the conflict with the family. Didn't even go to see mum and dad's grave. It was just too triggering for me with the family who were breaking a promise to me, and it was just a lot. Grief does things to people. And I think slowly, mentally, I was just getting quite angry, frustrated. And one of the healthy outlets was the snorkeling and the kina, like a connection, trying to maintain that connection to mum, and at the same time, it hurting so much, you kind of become distant, try to distance yourself from the pain. But yeah, nice, and yes, it's kind of a bit skinny there, but they're still a bit sweet. Still sweet, and that was at mum's dinner, first year anniversary. It's quite hard because mum was supposed to live, a good while, at least another decade. And then when she dropped dead, basically, within the 3 years after dad, that was really hard. Still hard, not too long. And this was some of the food that I had at the time. Mum's kina. Just the rice was to go with the palak paneer, which is basically spinach curry, Indian dish with cubes of paneer. It's really yummy. You can with green chilies, and then I had Shanghai noodles and pork, which is basically just the Hokkien noodles fried up in a sweet and sour packet. I think it's Ikam Ki. Forget that brand name. And then you've got the it's like a staple, white taro and coconut cream. I did that for auntie and uncle, and then I did a boil up of pork bone and watercress and salad, mesclun, corn, coriander, red onion, mung beans. Um, yeah, I remember the anniversary. We had little King Bing there, still a young kid, and I just remember him outside up and down the street in the rain enjoying himself. And I wanted to go out and join him too, but stayed in with auntie and uncle. So come 2024, and I started going again a bit more frequently out on my own, and just finding a new sense of purpose and connection to the ocean, and because I absolutely love it, but for me, like, disconnection from life is quite strong. And then I hit 2020, another outing with my nephew and my niece and her daughters. This is me. I think I just kept putting on the weight and eating my emotions and grief. Wasn't so much how much I was eating, it was just, I just tend to stop moving. Bringing a kina for Mimo. This is my niece Mimo. She's not a really outdoorsy person, but she will come out and spot us for our kina and swap out our sacks. She absolutely loves kina. Uh, she's a very hard case, a very special niece. I was very close to my parents and my mum and myself. But yeah, that time her first time meeting my nephew there, Mickey, because he's from different sides of my family, and he had all the big kina, and they they became best friends because she loves the big kina and all the big seafood. But yeah, she'd come out and like spot the kina. I'm like, oh, if you want kina, you need to come stand on the corner of the reef. So she'd make the effort to come and do it, and at times if the water's a bit rough, I'd still go and make an effort to get it for her, get a couple of sacks for her because I know she absolutely loved it. But yeah, she's quite hard case, so very hard case. And she bosses her daughters around. Uh, and then we've got, that's my nephew, Mick. He likes big things in the water. Could be big kina, big this, scallops, power, crayfish. He doesn't spearfish yet, but he dives deep, maybe 10 meters, and he'll snorkel out like a couple of k's at least. a K to 2, to get to where he needs to go. I was like, I was going. So thank you for coming to look after us and spot our kina. Kina and fish, and there you go. There's a couple, the John and Nana, Lee and Nana. So my nephews, it's the same pair that are up there and just sit in the water. So on this morning, I think Lily forgot his gears, and he's too busy gas bagging with these two up in the car park. There's Lily and Nana. Nana's young than Lily. It's my favourite, cronuts. But with those two, oh, with Lily and Nana, I remember being in the water because they came to go out fishing, and I think those two just went to feed the fish because every time I popped my head up out of the water to see where everyone was, those two were, one sitting on the chili bin, the other one just standing there, and, they either vaping, but they were always just gas bagging. So that's what you get with those two because those are the two that went snorkeling. Were supposed to come and collect kina before with me a couple of years ago, but those two just sat in the water and gas bagged. So yeah, not the most reliable, those two. Yeah, and there's my kai quality inspector. Always checks the kina, the pups, when I come home. So I think this one here, this outing for me, was for charity. 'Cause our family supports a small local youth group. Excuse me, small local youth group, and they were having a they were having something to eat. So I popped out fast, hard and fast, quick, click and collect for kina, and came home to hull it and put it in these little bottles. And then this was a pretty cool outing, another one with my nephew, Lulu. We call this his side. That was our gear after when we'd finished snorkeling, and we'd finished going out there, and that was all our gear. So if it's not a close shore dive, then I'll take my tow float. It's like a dry bag. It's what you usually use for open water swimming. Yeah, that's that little orange float at the bottom there, orangey yellowy looking float, and I put like my car key and my phone in there. Um, and yeah, it's really cool. It's inflatable. It's like a double chamber. You put it in like a dry bag. It acts like a dry bag, and then you just inflate the chambers, and then you can just put it around your like shoulder to waist, and snorkel doesn't get in the way at all. And then um I took that out, and it was a really cool. It's a really cool little snorkel, but quite long, and I think it was less. It's about 1.5k less than 2k return snorkel. This was quite a memorable one because Lulu, we took Lulu's big tow float that you see there. They don't like that thing. Absolutely traumatized me on this outing. Do not like it at all. What happened was we went out, and it's a side where it's strong currents. So, long snorkel, don't mind the long snorkel, don't mind the strong currents at all. But that big tow float, I coming back because Lily was spearfishing and he'd forgotten his. Lily always forgets something or loses something in the water, but he'd speared this that you see there on the left side of the photo, this big massive parore. It's absolutely beautiful, and I was like checking out the reef on that side with the kina in different spots. I usually like to take kina from different spots and put them in separate bags, just to see what it's like. And Lulu had gone off a bit further, and spearfishing left his tow float with me, and I was sitting because the water was quite deep, the visibility was quite clear. I'd say probably maybe down to 10 meters, if not more, with clear visibility. Looking down, it's so cool. And I there was a reef. Part of the reef was hanging over of the depth at the bottom, and I decided to I'd have a rest. So I was just sitting up there. I came to sit up there, and under the corner of my eye, something black and long, flat, thin, had I caught it in the corner of my left eye as I was going to sit up on the reef, and it glided in, and you cannot mistake what that is. And it was this big, gigantic stingray. This is shallow water. This is probably like maybe 50 centimeters, less than a meter. I'd say 50 centimeters because I like was snorkeling in, and then I saw it in my left corner of my left eye, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then I was like, "I know what that is. That's massive as," and it just, it was close to me, within like I'd say, yeah, 50 centimeters too, 50 centimeters depth in water, and it was like, you know, it was like maybe an arm's width away from me, like, glided in up on my left side. So I quickly turned to sit up or prop myself up on the reef because my legs were hanging off because it was quite deep. And then I just quickly ducked my head under with my goggles, and it was absolutely magnificent. I would have startled it more than it had startled me, but I just watched it. It glided in to be curious and have a look at me, and just as soon as it seen me, clock it had turned and then it glided back out. It was absolutely beautiful, and yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, big freaking thing. It was like massive as. I said, you know, I got a good look at it. I caught on my left and then stuck my head back, looked on top of the water and stuck my head underneath, and it was just massive. I tell you, massive is massive. It was massive because the reef I was sitting on was quite long. And I was just, then I remembered, like, because that side of the reef and those waters, they're quite deep, a bit further, not too far out, and there's always like bait fish up there, and there's always a kayaker fishing, and so I know it's got good fishing, and then I was like, oh, big stingray. Okay, what other big creatures are on this side? And I was, and then when we had finished, on that side and was snorkeling back, I had the couple of sacks and I just I'd like a front heavy of the big massive tow float, and then I was like dragging it in, which wasn't good. But I don't like putting my kina on top of those things because, the sun. I like to keep the kina as fresh as much as possible, and I always try to keep it in the seawater until we have to walk to the park, the car park. And Lilyhead was way ahead of me because, that boy always likes to go off and, spearfish, and I collect the kina. That's how our relationship works in the water. And I was holding up my roast pork fork because I was like, if that big massive stingray is out here, what else is big massive over here? And I was like I was holding up my roast pork fork in front of me as I was snorkeling back, and that was in my right hand, and I was pulling the float line of the big float on my left, and it was like heavy, and there was current coming out, so I was going in against current, and then and the current was too strong. I just like float, but kick enough that you stay in one place because it was quite scenic underneath because the visibility was quite clear. So I just like have a look, have a rest, and I saw another big massive stingray, and it was right at the bottom on the ocean ground, and it was like half of it was sticking up. I think it must have been sleeping or something. Half of it in this small cave. I thought it was absolutely beautiful, and I just thought, oh, it's all right. You stay your side, I stay my side. So eventually, it got closer to shore, and then I saw must have been like a skeleton of a boat hull, and I'm like, why do people leave these things in here for? But it kind of looked creepy because the visibility was a little bit reduced, bit silty, and it just looked like it was awesome to see afterwards. But initially, the shock is like, what the hell is that? And it's quite deep, not quite deep, but I'd say maybe 6 meters or 4 meters. And I was just like looking at it, and it's so big. And then the next thing was as we were snorkeling back into shore, because I was behind Lulu. And then the next thing I see Lulu drop his parore, and I'm just waiting a few moments for him to turn around and pick it up. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that boy doesn't even realize he's lost his fish. And then I pulled my head out of water, made a splash, and called out to him. I said, wait! But he didn't have his dive belt at that time because he couldn't dive down to get it. It wasn't deep, so I just went down and picked up his parore, and then we snorkeled back into shore. So it was quite a memorable outing. Absolutely beautiful, everything on that side and down there. Yeah, strong currents though, because when the tide's coming in, it's the swell is a bit strong. Highs almost like surfy, not surfy real, not real surfy, but still strong enough. So yeah, that was beautiful. But I was like, never ever am I taking your tow float, Lulu. I don't like that thing. It's just too massive. And he's like, oh, but when we go out deep, you can rest on it. I was like, I don't need that. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay on my back and float. I'm fat enough. I ain't going to sink. I'm not gonna sink, so I don't need that. So I'm just absolutely. We see it. I don't like that thing. It's too big, not enough room to put catch in it, and yeah, absolutely don't like it. But probably didn't help coming back in current with 2 sacks of kina not evenly balanced out. But hell no, and yeah, and Lulu took our sacks of kina to, I think it was for a family barbecue. But yeah, that side of the water we go to, we nicknamed that Lulu side. So yeah, love you, my Lulu. Oh, that boy, man. Yes, me and Lulu. We're going in from here. It's pretty open. Yeah, far. It's about 1.5k. I measured it on the map, but probably a bit more. Um, yeah, this time this boy, I think he forgot his weight belt, but it wasn't until we came back in that we'd found it because he'd left it over there somewhere. Now, what we do, what we do now before we leave the car park is I do a gear check. I was like, oh, got your weight belt? Yeah, weight belt. Where's your spear gun? Got your spear gun. You've got your watch. You've got your dive knife. You've got your snorkel mask. And then we can proceed to leave the car park for the water. But Lily lost his watch. It's a quite expensive watch. Mine was only $50 solo watch I lost on the other side, but I'd had that for more than a decade. Broke my heart because now solar watches are really expensive, and the other watches just last, I think, a decade. And then, yeah, so I thought brought the tow float home, kept it for a while, and then Quella made it her own. I sent that picture to Lulu, and Lulu quickly picked up the tow float. Okay, she really liked that thing, eh? It's quite cool. It was King Bang's actual first time out for snorkeling. Definitely not ideal. Uh, it was quite choppy surface of the water, and the currents are strong on that side, and it's a bit deep. And his first time, windy on top too. So I had Nemo, my niece, spotting me to swap out my sacks, but also supervise King Bang. And King Bang was right down at her feet because she was standing on a rock. And, he just took his time to acclimatize to everything. All his senses would have been very frightening for him. He was a young teen at the time. But he did well and collected what he could. But poor fellow, because I ripped one of my fins, so I did commandeer his, and we were against time, against the tide, I remember. So I just, and Lily had taken off further down across the deep channels, and he'd gone for a snorkel and a dive to check out the reef. And he'd speared a fish, but he was gone. And so it was just me, Mo, myself, and Nana in the water. And I remember this because they had gullies there, and I was diving a bit deeper than I should have. I don't have a weight belt. I just dive down, but getting fatter, and which is not really ideal because it's a bit harder to get down. Um, so I've like taken to getting a weight belt till I sort out my weight issue. But anyways, I was diving a bit deeper than I should have been, and I got a bit of vertigo. But because I've have experience with my vertigo, I'll just come up, shake it off, rebalance, and keep going down. Because the conditions weren't ideal, and again, when I talk about Mimo, Mimo lives with my auntie and uncle, so I got to get some sacks of kina, and that's my uncle that used to take me collecting kina and crabbing, my mum's brother. So, there's a little bit of pressure there to get the kina for the family. And while I was snorkeling and getting the kina and diving, um, there was another guy out there, and I like to watch people in the area that I'm in. I just love watching people in the water, especially open water swimmers. And I could tell that he was either not experienced or he was scared. So I would tell him, just go over there, there's lots of kina there. Just go there. And I'd like point out places to him because I could see he wasn't getting anything. And then I realised that there was a lady with a young girl, primary aged, or like maybe intermediate. They were like quite close to the edge of the water, near us or near me where I was in, and I think I saw them at a tool and some sacks, and I could see it looked like they were trying to get in there. But when you watch enough people, you see whether they're confident, and it's always comes down to water confidence. And I thought, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. The water was too choppy and the currents were strong. And, there's some undertow of the gullies. And I was watching them. So I was watching those two. And then I was watching the other guy. And I was like, oh, it's not safe. So I just keep an eye out for them. And then once I'd collected our sacks and I left, they left too, which was good. When people aren't as experienced, they should always leave. When people they can see who do better than them leave. That's common sense and safety. So yeah, got a couple of sacks for Mimo and auntie and uncle. So about 2025, we've got my King Bing here. So by this time, we'd taken King Bing out. I'd taken him out a handful of times prior to this, I think, but I'd never recorded him on camera because I didn't want that. Wasn't necessary. Was an unnecessary distraction, and that boy don't know how to swim, so it was hard and fast with water confidence for me, and we'll pick up on the swimming later. So I just get him into the water, 10 minutes, tell him what to do, always to get used to the fitting of the snorkel mask and breathing through the snorkel itself and floating on top of the water. So it'd be hard and fast with this boy because of safety. And then when he was comfortable with the water, I'd get in and then I'd just tell him what to do and how to do it and tell them where to stay. And usually when you take people, they always got to stay between myself and the reef. So never out towards the open water, and they always have to stay close by. And you always like shove them in a corner, which is usually quite shallow, and tell them to stay away from things. But yeah, my nephew here did really excellent on this outing, and I just watched him from afar, and I let him go and collect his sacks of kina himself. So he was going to learn to provide for his family, and he did really well. He did excellent. he's got good work ethic. Tell him what to do, and he does the mahi. So yeah, he got in there. Very proud of him on this outing. Can see he's quite happy. And when we were making our way back, he was telling me what he was going to do with his kina, and he very much wanted to share that with his mum, who absolutely loves kina, and she would have been very proud of him. Lulu had gone to his side on this outing, and our little Lulu had speared a kingfish, which was excellent and awesome and quite happy. So he got his kingfish and uh, King Bing's like actual outing out to collect kina on his own. Very happy here. There's the youngest brother and eldest brother. So that was pretty awesome. It's like good memories for the two. I was quite proud of them. So little King Bing's getting taller than their eldest brother. And then got another outing for kina. Going out this time with Lulu. We're going out to do a kina run because Lulu's at uni. He's mastering his te reo. He's mastering his te reo, and he had a breakup, so it was like potluck, and he was going to take some kina. So I went into the shallows. Looks nice, eh? But I should have went and got it from one of my patches, and I thought I'd try an shallow area, because I was also looking for King Bing, the shallow area, but the kina weren't as much, so sorry, Lulu. But yeah, I did the shallows because I was testing out some new gears and some new methods. See, it was a little bit tiny. But we came back home and Lily held the kina and practiced his speech. Yeah, we're very proud of Lily. Lily's the closest thing I got to a human son. Then my Kakai is my little furry dog son. But yeah, so little Lulu doing his kina. Sorry, Lulu, should have gone to the patches, but he said they were very appreciative of his efforts and what he brought for them. Hulling at them, went and got his little bottles to put it in. Me and Lily usually just go out because everyone's a bit hoha and coming out. We had our little jobs to do to make it fast but clean to do the kina. So you don't have all that gunk. I'm really fussy with, when you hull the kina because you go to all that effort to do everything. You have to look after it. So I like it clean like this. So telling Lily, don't do it like that, do it like this. And some of our gear prep that I prep. So yeah, I've got Lulu that float and my toe float there, and I don't know, because of with the long COVID, I gotta work it out. Easy for me in the water, feeling a bit colder. I don't wear a wetsuit, never have, but feels a little bit colder and a little bit more tired, so figured out a way to take me some electrolytes to keep me in there and going. And I got Lulu's old toe float and just working. I used to be able to just get a couple of sacks of kina and I'd drop one and then I'd landmark it and then I'd go and collect up my second sack, come back, pick up the first sack and then just power snorkel back to the exit point. Or sometimes I'd just, carry the 2 bags of kina, not the big massive ones, they've got to be the small ones, and it would be alright, but lately haven't been able to do that. I don't know, something with the long COVID and not enough energy, or my energy depleting quite quickly, so finding a workaround for that, and that was the workaround. It's working alright so far, so I'm okay about it, but the toe float has, I think I hook up one finished sack and then I've got the second sack and then I hook up the second sack and then snorkel it back. I have to do my swimming. Open water swimming is what I really should be doing. But yeah, preparation of our outings, it's quite a lot. I find it's quite involved and quite technical because I'm quite strict and gung ho about safety, not just for myself but for whomever I take out, especially my nephew Lulu. Always talking to him, telling him, and we're quite strict with our times. I usually do all the planning and the safety issues and work everything out for us with the conditions. I'm always constantly watching the conditions and reading the maps and the depths and anything else that's going on, like weather or in the area, if we can't like snorkel there or dive there. But preparation for our outings, I find it is quite involved for myself, especially with short amounts of energy, not much energy quota. So instead of prepping the night before, I now check the night before and prep a week ahead of all my gears. So, lots of gear checking and taking backup when needed and just planning things out, but always telling family when we leave, when we leave home, when we've arrived at the water, when we get out of the water, when we've left the car park, and when we've arrived home. So lots of safety issues that way, and uh, planning around the tides. And you can do all the planning you like and everything, but when you get to the actual water and physical medium itself, you still gotta use your common sense and instinct to make the decision whether to go in or if it feels right. And if ever it doesn't feel right or something feels off, you just don't do it. You just don't go in, or you get out. It's as simple and black and white like that, because we all got to come back home for ourselves and for our families. So I'm quite gung ho and strict. So our outings are never long. They're usually probably about maybe 2 to 3 hours, less than 3 hours. We commute there, we're in the water, we do what we need to do, always more than enough time. We're out, you know, back to the car park and then gung ho at home, and then everyone's happy. So I'm quite strict about sticking to our time frames and where we go. I always do lots of research. It's funny how I do lots of research, I always usually end up at the same places. And I've learnt since doing these videos that I think part of my grief was taking me back there to reconnect, because you're always wanting to maintain and sustain a connection to parts of you that you lost, like your loved ones. And that's part of my learning in the journey of grief. So I've learnt quite a lot there. Um, but I think, got to go out and explore. Um, just with new life and new activities for oneself. Finding new chapters. Not really too happy with my fins at the moment. Still gotta sort that out. But yeah, it's been, I think, 6, 7 years since Dad passed, and 4 years since Mum passed. It's been hard, like I haven't been able to grieve in parts, and then in other parts the grief has been much easier. But after a few years, I have the burial rights back for my parents now after conflict with relatives. They were really bad. Even my family knew and understood. I didn't know why people are like that. Kakai. Kakai sleeping under the desk. But I have my parents back, so time to still carry on with my own journey in life and keep enjoying life. My dad loved life. He said, enjoy your life. So I've been trying. So coming up to winter, and there's my wetsuit shorty in my colour. So we're going to have to put that to use and jump in the water. new challenges. Wish us luck. We'll have new videos coming soon. But if you've been listening this long, thank you so much. It's quite a long video. And love to my family. Subscribe and like and take care. Thank you. Bye.